Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I am delighted to welcome a very accomplished professional from the world of advertising and media from Mumbai, India, Kainaz Karmakar. Kainaz, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashutosh.
Kainaz is the Chief Creative Officer of Ogilvy, India. She has been in the list of 50 most impactful women in advertising and marketing in 2022. Forbes featured her in the F Power 22 Self Made Women of India, and she has also been a member of the jury at Cannes Spike's One Show, D&D, Clio, and ADC. So, Kainaz, after such an amazing journey, it would only be fair of me to ask you to tell me a little bit about your own journey to becoming the Chief Creative Officer at Ogilvy.
Oh, it's a long journey, Ashutosh, but I'll try to
Yeah,
cram it down.
yeah.
So actually, my background is in psychology.
Mm-hmm.
I did my graduation in psychology, and after that, I did a course in advertising. Now you'll ask why, or you'll wonder why.
Mm-hmm.
It's because what the particular field of psychology that I wanted to pursue, I did not get great options here, and education abroad at that point was not an option for me. So I was actually like wondering what to do with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people in advertising, especially in the field where in the stream where I started, which is copywriting, stumble into the industry. So I think I also stumbled in because I was wondering what to do. And somehow everybody feels that advertising is easy. It's far from that. But then I did a course, a 3-month course in copywriting. And I applied to a lot of places. I started my journey in FCB. From there, I went to Leo Burnett, then JAWT, which is now VML, and then I came to Ogilvy.
Gilby.
So when I came to Ogilvy in 2010, I came with my work partner Harshad Raja. We worked together as a team, and it was highly intimidating because we've come to this what is called the mecca of advertising, and when 10 years later, we, along with our another partner Sukesh, are heading the place now. It sometimes feels
Amazing.
unreal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as they say, the rest is history, right? Wonderful. So, Kainaz, tell me, what does it mean to be the Chief Creative Officer of an agency as iconic as Ogilvy?
Like I just said, sometimes it feels unreal, especially because Harshad and me were so-called, outsiders. We were not even homegrown talent. And to achieve this, it's a huge honor for me. When Piyush made the call to the three of us, which is, we headed jointly, Harshad and I had one part of it, and Sukesh Nayak heads the other part of it. And when Piyush called the three of us and told us that we are taking it over, it felt like, it felt crazy good, but also very intimidating, a lot of anxiety. Now it's been 4 years. I think, every day we still go in bubbling with excitement because it's a huge responsibility. And one thing is that there has not been a single day since I have taken the responsibility that I've taken it for granted. I never do, I go every day with the same enthusiasm that I got on day one. And it's not created. It's just there. Maybe it's because I'm an anxious person. I really, don't want to let anyone down. That's my personality. But I think what it really means is only visible when somebody asks you this question, because every day you're in the thick of it, you're in the middle of it. And Ogilvy is a very hands-on person. We are all very hands-on. We are in the trenches.
Yeah.
So when you ask that, then I think, now that I'm sitting in front of you and you're asking me this question, I think it's a huge honor, and I feel extremely lucky.
Absolutely. But the other thing that when I was reading about you, I was fascinated that you describe your work, Kainaz, as brave.
Yeah.
I've never heard this term in advertising. How do you define bravery in advertising, and how do you encourage it in your team?
I think I've always said that if I want to do the kind of work, I want to do brave. Now, I'll tell you how I define brave in context of advertising. It's a couple of things. One is has it been done before? So if it's been done before, then automatically it becomes less brave. Because second is that is something on the line, you know. It's your reputation, the agency's reputation, the client's belief in you. It's on the edge of that. When you're doing safe work, everybody is, you know, in their armchairs, happy. Nobody is risking anything.
Right.
Like I'll tell you one campaign we did, which was called Beauty Tips by Reshma. One of our very enthusiastic teams came up with it, where we got a real acid attack victim to give beauty tips.
Wow.
And the last beauty tip she gives is the fact that the banning of acid is the biggest beauty tip I can give the world. Because, you know, if that is taken care of, a lot of faces will not be defaced. So when we did that, it was a huge risk. We don't know how people will react at all. But that campaign did extremely well. The NGO that we did for did really well. That girl herself ended up walking the New York Fashion Week.
Amazing.
So that's what I mean by brave, you know. It should not have been done before. It should be a little scary. And sometimes you should also not know how I will do it.
Right. Very interesting. You know, a few minutes back, you were telling me that you don't ever take your work for granted and every day you put in everything that you've got. My question is, given the number of people you would have worked with in your career so far, what are some common mistakes you see young creative professionals make, and how do you guide them to grow?
Yeah, so I think one long back, somebody had once said this to me, that people's strength can sometimes become their weakness. And I think that's true for everybody, not just for the young. But I'll tell you particularly two things I feel. One is sometimes I see that they come in believing that craft is not essential. You know, when we started, craft was everything.
Right.
And sometimes I feel like they believe if they know technology, or if they know, you know, how to run some apps or whatever, that's enough. Or if they can talk the jargon, that's enough. That's not enough. It's not going to substitute the craft. And the second thing that I would like to tell, if anyone ever assumes that there is no substitute for hard work. And hard work, you cannot succeed in whatever you want to do by just hustle.
Correct.
You need hard work, you need talent, and you need the hustle.
Absolutely.
So sometimes they believe they have tremendous hustle, but they compromise on the other two. I'm not talking about everyone, but again, I have seen this happen.
Yeah.
So I would like to say hard work and talent, then hustle.
Very well said. My next question for you, Kainaz, is that how do you approach balancing creative freedom with client expectations?
Yeah, I think that comes with yesterday. In fact, I was reading this question and I was feeling that, you know, I have been fortunate to get a trust of a lot of clients. So the answer to that would be, it comes from client's trust. And where does the client's trust come from? It usually comes from your early relationship with the client. What I mean is that in 2014, a new client called Sudhir Sitapati came and took over Brook Bond Red Label Tea, which we were working on even before that for 3-4 years. And he wanted to change. He wanted to change the brand. He wanted to make a few changes, etc. And the first project that we did for him was a story between a Hindu and a Muslim, and how they come together over a cup of tea. Now, it was a risky story. It could have gone either way. But the way we executed it, the way he supported us, the way we worked as a team, it bonded us for the next however many years he was in the company. He's now moved on. But I think that early, if the client sees that this person has got the interest of the brand at heart and excellence for the brand, I think that trust then becomes, your weapon to do better and better work.
Well said. Well said. My next question relates to storytelling. And, you know, as a chief creative officer, I'm sure you're an expert in storytelling. But my question is, how has the role of storytelling evolved or changed, especially with the rise of digital media and social media?
Yeah, I think that storytelling, I believe, will never go out of fashion. I think storytelling, because if storytelling was out of fashion, the Gen Z and the Gen Alpha that often we, describe as our target audience would not be binge watching so many series. They're all it's all storytelling, right? What else is it? But I think what has changed, and we must take cognizance of that, is how you tell the story. In the sense that you have to know that for one, you have to understand that when we started in advertising, we were competing with other ads. We are not competing with other ads anymore. We are competing with everything that's on the screen. You're competing with the funniest cat videos. You're competing with whoever's making the funniest reel today. So I think the onus of storytelling to be edgier, to be more entertaining, and to be less prescriptive is more than ever.
Very interesting. And you were just giving me the example of a brave ad you did of a Hindu and a Muslim. My question is, what role do you think advertising plays in challenging and reflecting cultural narratives today?
Oh, huge. And see, advertising or anything that you do in life, even if you're writing a book, it's always influenced by the world that you live in or the times that you live in. And I think the times that we live in, and this is something I really like about the young generation. I know woke is a word that has been loosely used many times, but their keen awareness about things and their confidence to speak up for what they believe in. And their confidence to not take any nonsense from anyone. We took a lot of nonsense, but they will not take any nonsense from anyone. I think that's very high.
Absolutely.
And that holds true also for advertising. So I think that responsible storytelling, or the fact that brands that actually contribute to social cause, and this has to be done honestly. You cannot do it as lip service. You cannot do it as a shortcut. But if a brand does it, like Savlon, one of our other brands, for years they have been doing hand hygiene. Now, hand hygiene is a huge need for a country like India, educating people in hand hygiene, and they've been doing it for years earnestly, and they have actually seen the effect of that on their brand, on their sales, on all the parameters that really matter.
Absolutely. Moving on, Kainaz, how do you see the future of advertising evolving with technology, and how are you adapting in Ogilvy?
So almost you can say 5 years back, and I give a lot of credit to this for our current CEO, VR Rajesh. He started a bunch of new verticals in Ogilvy. So he set up a tech department called Creative Tech.
Okay.
Creative Tech means for years we used to have a lot of ideas, but then it used to get stuck at, but how do we do this? Okay, then we start looking for vendors. We start looking for people who can do it. Now we have that ability within the company. Okay, so now we have the ability within our company to create that technology ourselves, or for the person who's with us, his name is Rajneesh, to guide us in creating the technology. Similarly with experience. Now, like you said, why has he done this? He did this 5 years back, but it is exploding today. So that's great vision, I would say. And the role of technology I think, is again in the audience that you're talking to. A lot of ideas now involve, like, inserting tech into it. And that's why Creative Tech, it's used to amplify a creative idea.
Well said. And how do you, we spoke about culture, we spoke about how Savlon is making changes to hand washing. But my question is, how do you see advertising's role in addressing societal issues? And in your view, are there any topics that you think need more attention?
I think one really good thing that advertising has done over the years, and even clients have become more aware of this, is how we portray women. Right now, if somebody in my office comes to me with a script which says, the husband's reading a newspaper and the wife is making tea, I will stop them and I'll say,
correct,
can we restructure what's happening in the house? So I think that awareness is not just in creative people. Sometimes we slip up and we may take something and the client may say, hey, hold on. We don't want to show the woman. My client for Savlon, Samir Sitapati, he's very clear that I will not show a woman cleaning the house or things like that, because it's not really just
Correct.
her job to do that. So I think societal changes definitely can be affected by advertising, and it's all of our responsibility. Whatever art you're creating, whether it's commercial art, whether it's a book, that you have to speak up for what's happening around you. There is a certain skepticism around this, Ashutosh, because people believe that you're only doing it to maybe get an award, or you're doing it to get some sort of a fame.
Correct.
Fame does come with it. I'm not denying that.
Correct.
But it makes a change. Like when I was telling you about Reshma Qureshi, the girl who was the acid attack, survivor who worked with us, she walked the New York Fashion Week.
Wow.
So.
Wow. Amazing. So, Kainaz, the next few questions are now for you. We're going to move away from Ogilvy and advertising.
Okay.
Of the 40 plus global awards that you and your team have received, does any one of them hold any specific or personal significance to you?
The awards are very important because they are a recognition of bravery that you have done. So I think, like I said, the two are connected. All of them are really special. But I tell you, the one that is really special for me was the first time Harshad and I walked on the stage of Cannes.
Okay.
I think that would be the most special. It was an award called Glass Lion. Glass Lion is an award that has been given to work that makes huge change in advancing, gender benefits and things like that. And that campaign we got it for was Beauty Tips by Reshma. It was 2016. I had never, gone on the Cannes stage before that to receive an award, and it was a gold. It was a glass. It was my agency's first Glass Lion. And we were all together. There was Harshad, there was me, there was the team that did it, Ashik and Gitanjali. There was Piyush Pandey with us. There was my then boss, Rajiv Rao. So all of us together who had worked so hard on this, on the stage to receive a first Glass Lion for my agency, I would say that would be the most special.
Wow. Wow. Congratulations again. And given the amount of, juries that you have sat on and judged so many campaigns and awards, what are some of the trends you have noticed in advertising as a judge? Because you would now be viewing not just your own, but, submissions from all over the world, probably.
Yeah. I think one trend that I've certainly noticed is that juries go deep in the sense that you can't get away with trying to fool them, They will Google your campaign. I have seen that as a trend. They will Google your campaign. They'll try to find out if it really happened. Did media write about it? So that is one trend I have seen in the jury room. In case of work that's winning, the trend that I have seen is honestly a very simple thing. I think work that absolutely surprises you and work that you wish you had done. Work that ultimately goes to win the biggest awards in a jury room, when it gets a Grand Prix. No matter how big or small an agency the jury member comes from or what position they hold, they all wish they had done that work.
Absolutely. Well said. So, Kainaz, I have time for two more questions. My next question is that, we've spoken about all the awards, but you have also personally been recognized by Forbes India, and as you're amongst the 50 most impactful women in advertising. How have these kind of recognitions or acknowledgments influenced your own work or your personal goals?
No, it's been hugely encouraging to be acknowledged. And I remember the first, I was on the list a couple of times, but the first time I was on the list for Impact 50 women, I was, with my, with one of my mentors, Hepzibah Pathak, and it meant a lot to me. And you won't believe it, every time I have been on a list, like everyone from office comes to cheer. I think that is what means a lot.
Yeah.
That people are happy for you getting it. And I think the kind of support and encouragement I've got in Ogilvy is also a huge contributing factor for me getting these awards.
Amazing. And my last question, I think I've saved the best for the last. You've spoken a few times about your partnership with Harshad Raja. What is the secret behind this successful partnership?
Harshad and I have been work partners since 2007, since JWT, and still today. I think I will tell you the secret to any great partnership is three things: trust, respect, and deep affection. I think trust, respect, and deep affection. And what I mean by trust, I'll just explain that in a minute. Is that
yes,
if we are brainstorming and if Harshad tells me that the idea that I just presented is no good, it will not hurt my ego.
Correct.
Because I know he's not saying it with any agenda. There is no ulterior motive. Together, we have to arrive at the best work. Or if I tell Harshad that, maybe, we should have done this instead of that, he won't take it on his ego either. I think that is very important. We can be totally honest with each other. We trust each other. And the third thing is we have deep affection for each other. We are friends before anything else.
Amazing. And on that note, Kainaz, and your three amazing inputs for a strong partnership of trust, respect, and deep affection. Thank you so much for speaking to me about your journey. What an amazing journey you've had to reach right to the top of the ladder as a chief creative officer. I loved how comfortably you described your brave campaigns. It's almost like a culture you seem to have brought into your organization.
Thank you.
We spoke about the common mistakes. We spoke about how you're adjusting to technology and how your organization has been very, very proactive in bringing in technology into your company. We also were able to address societal issues and cultures, which were absolutely fascinating. And finally, we also spoke about all the amazing awards that you have received. Thank you for speaking to me, and good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.